Good morning. We've got a quorum already, so may I now call the meeting to order. Agenda item number 1, Revitalization of Bridges Street Market, former Fanling, Magistracy and Haupa Mansion under the Revitalizing Historic Buildings through Partnership Scheme. I welcome the administration. The attendance list has already been tabled, so I will not go through the list. So I hope that you'll be concise in your presentation because we don't really have enough time. Thank you, Chairman. In October 2011, we launched the batch 3 of the revitalization scheme. We invited proposals for adaptive reuse of the Bridges Street Market, the former Fanling Magistracy and the Haupa Mansion. And following a vigorous selection process and upon the advice of the Advisory Committee on Revitalization of Historic Buildings, we have selected the following applicants. First of all, Journalism Education Foundation Hong Kong Limited, selected to revitalize the Bridges Street Market into the Hong Kong News Expo. The Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups, selected to revitalize the former Fanling Magistracy into the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups Institute for Leadership Development. And the Other Hon Foundation, cooperated with Haupa Music Foundation Limited, selected to revitalize the Haupa Mansion into Haupa Music Farm. In fact, we provided members with a progress report on the 24th of June this year. In fact, preliminary design investigation works have been completed, and for the 3 projects, they are now in a detailed design stage. And I will now invite my colleagues to take members through the 3 projects, and then members can ask questions. So first of all, the representative from the Haupa Music Foundation Limited. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I would like to introduce the project to you on behalf of the foundation. This mansion has a history of 80 years, and I would now like to tell you how we'd like to reuse it to turn it into a music farm. Yes, thank you. Mr. Wu, thank you. For the Haupa Music Farm, we have 2 main missions. First, training. Second, conservation. And let me first of all say something about music training. We have 3 emphases. We'd like to train or turn the music farm into a music institute, attaching equal importance to Chinese music and Western music. So there will be musical instrument classes for students. And we have established a partnership with 3 organizations, including the Canadian Royal Institute of Music, the Vancouver Institute of Music, and the Hong Kong Chinese Orchestra. And then secondly, we hope to train youth leaders. We hope that we can train young people to work with others, to possess leadership qualities. There will be a string orchestra, and there will also be recital groups to give outreaching concerts so as to broaden the horizon of the students. And then we don't want students without the means to be deprived of the opportunities to learn music. And so there will be scholarships, and we hope that 1 out of 4 of our music students will benefit from the scholarship program. And then another main concept is conservation. So we're going to restore and revitalize Hao Pa mansion. You can see here that this mansion is in a rather dilapidated state. So this is going to be the appearance of the mansion upon restoration. There will be three main areas, namely the mansion, the private garden, and the ancillary site. So for the mansion and the private garden, the emphasis is on restoration. But of course, there will be a lift in the mansion, and also the mansion will be retrofitted with a staircase and a fire escape access. But then concerning the ancillary sites, there will be essential infrastructural items on them, including a staircase leading to the to Tai Hang Road, and also barrier-free facilities.
完成咗之後呢，
So this is going to be the main entrance for the music farm in the future. You can see the present state of the ancillary site on Tai Hang Road, and then you can see below the design of the future entrance. The entrance will blend well with the mansion and the garden, and the view of the garden will not be affected in any way by this new entrance. You can see in this floor plan that visitors can use this new entrance and reach the reception hall. Chairman, is it really necessary for them to give so detailed presentations? In fact, I understood that they would only take 3 minutes, and I think they've taken more than 3 minutes. Members have already got the hard copies of the slides, so I think you really need to highlight the salient points that you would like to draw members' attention to. We'll allow the public access to the area. You can see areas marked red. They will be open to the public and for guided tours, so long as music classes are not disrupted. And then we're going to have guided tours during the weekends, and the former owner, Ms. Ausian, will also be involved in such guided tours. So we hope to revitalize the residential mansion and the private garden. We hope that this can become a music farm. We hope to continue with the beliefs propagated by the owner of Tiger Balm Gardens here at the same time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, who's next? Because we don't really have too much time today, so I hope that the presenters will not repeat the information already contained in the paper. And who's next? Mr. Wong? Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chairman. Now, the former Fanling Magistracy building will be revitalized into the HKFYG Institute for Leadership Development. So on the left, there will be the training building. On the right is going to be a residential building. So I just want to highlight 3 points. we will get the support of the Hong Kong U in our project. And with regard to conservation aspect, we've already secured the support of the Faculty of Architecture of the Hong Kong U. We hope that young people can also be involved in the conservation and revitalization process. And second, we hope to provide comprehensive and systematic leadership training for the young people in Hong Kong. And thirdly, there will be a residential block. In fact, every year we do have summer leadership courses organized together with Hong Kong U and HKUST, and we hope that this residential block will serve as a venue for more international exchanges among students. And I'll now hand over to our consultant. So, sorry, the speaker is not coming through. Mr. Lee. Thank you. Concerning conservation, we will act in accordance with the approved heritage impact assessment. We will try to conserve the appearance of the external appearance of the building, and we will be preserving the courtrooms and then on the ground floor, and then on the upper floor we'll try to also conserve these very significant features in the building. So there will be guided tours leading visitors to the various parts of the building, including the preserved cells, the courtrooms, and so on and so forth. Now, this building is very near to the Fanling MTR station. In fact, there is a footbridge linking the train station with the building, and also this area is well served by bus routes. And we've got this entrance leading to the leadership training center. And for the garden, it will also be preserved. So there will be a vast green area, and there will be sufficient parking spaces as well as loading and unloading bays.
For the training center, it will be produced by converting the existing former Fanling Magistracy building. And then for the newly built youth hostel, we'll try to keep it a low-key project so as to conserve the historic building next to it. Now, I've got two layout plans to illustrate the space conserved. Painted green, open to the public. For others, like the one in pink and gray, that's for the logistics or backup areas and for staff. And then for the hostel, it will only be providing basic accommodation facilities. That's all from me. Thank you. Next, would it be Ms. Chen? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members. We are glad that we have this opportunity to brief you on the revitalizing of the Bridges Street Market into the Hong Kong News Expo. We hope that we can record the history of the progression of Hong Kong. And also we have got a diversified press, and we want to showcase the relationship of the press with the development of Hong Kong. And then we'll be having an archive so that our print media and our multimedia will be presented, and then we will emphasize the importance of press freedom to the development of Hong Kong. In the vicinity of the Bridges Street Market, that's the place where our press has grown. Shing Wong Street, etc., used to be the basis of our press, and then we have the American Congregational Mission Preaching House, where Dr. Sen was baptized. This will be the first expo based on the theme of news. We're going to open it to the public, and it will be the place where we house the collective memory of Hong Kong. So you can see how Hong Kong has changed from a fishing village into a metropolitan. It will be a point for tourists and also a place for education. For the news expo, it will be part of the vicinity where we have the Menmo Temple, the Central Market, and the Central Police Station compound, PMQ, etc. So they will form a tourism cluster and will work with the tourism sector so as to attract visitors from both abroad and Hong Kong. So I'll just tell you how we are going to make use of the space available. There will be about 1,000 meters square. Well, the former market space will become the exhibition area, display area. The playground will also be kept so the visitors can refresh their memories of the days when they were young. 2 stories there. For the ground floor, there will be a themed display area. We'll make use of the latest technology. So the visitors coming here will look at the themes, and then it is also a place where we have got experiential studio, so you can try to role play that a reporter, and also undergraduates of journalism can also come here to have a taste. Do you want to become an astronaut? Would you like to try out what it looks like if you have a walk in space? If you want, then you must come to visit our experiential studios. There will also be multi-purpose rooms so that we'll be able to hold talks concerning the development of our press, and then visitors and friends of the media can also come here to see how our press operate. TV stations, newspapers, magazines, etc. have all showed our support. They are going to give us archival information, so they will become the display exhibits. And then the art of printing will also be displayed here. And then you can also come here to visit the souvenir shop. We'll receive donation, and in fact the Jockey Club Charity Fund will sponsor these guided tours for students. A few $1 million will be offered in the first few years, and we are going to be very prudent in our financial management. You have already got volunteers coming here to prepare the displays for us, and then they will also be guiding the tours when the expo is open. Everybody will chip in, both financially and in other ways. Next, I would like to defer to Professor Lin as to how the conservation will be carried out. You can see that this is Bridges Street. At the back, Windy Street. As Ms. Chen has said, we are going to conserve the special features of the building, like the staircase and also the poultry scoring room. They will also become part of the displays. And then, of course, we'll also be showing the life history of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. We'll try as much as possible to keep what is already there, except when we need to add the fire escapes and staircases. This is the display area, and then another display area upstairs. Both will be linked by staircase and also a lift for the disabled. So this will be a project where we can show our respect to the existing building while revitalizing it. Thank you. Now, I open the floor to members in accordance with Rule 83A. If a member has direct or indirect pecuniary interest in a matter discussed by the panel, you need to disclose the nature of the interest before you speak. Now I've got 9 members wishing to ask questions. Let me read out the names. Chen Kim Lam, Albert Chen, Regina Yip, Chen Yun Han, Lo Wai Kok, Sid Ho, Yu Si Wing, Abraham Shek, Elizabeth Quat, and then the 10th will be Wu Chi Wai. Chen Kim Lam, I suggest that we have 4 minutes for each member for both Q&A. We have a tight schedule, so I will be very strict about the time management. Mr. Chairman, I understand that many historic buildings have been offered by the administration for revitalization and conservation. For previous projects, they used to be more numerous and more commercialized. For the 3 presented to us today, I think they are more meaningful. I hope that the 3 operators will get sufficient funding to have a sustainable development of their philosophy and their project. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, I want to find out about the following. Just now, Ms. Chen told us that on a yearly basis, we'll only get $2.5 million from the Jockey Club. Of course, you may have some income from fees, but then you're not going to have a very large budget. Say, for example, if you have to carry out repair maintenance for the indoor facilities, because after all, it is a historic building. The administration may very well do the job in the first place, but what about the recurrent expenditure on maintenance? How are you going to meet the needs? For the other 2 operators, I'm sure you encounter the same problem. So please tell us how you're going to fund the maintenance in the future. Who will take up this question? Mr. Wong? Well, this is already the 3rd batch of the scheme, and we are launching the 4th one as well. So we've been adopting the same model. We repair and restore the buildings. For the first 2 years, we have got $5 million at most in the first 2 years to cover any deficit. Basically, the basic maintenance has to be the responsibility of the operator. But then for the structural maintenance and for the slopes, if they haven't been disturbed in the course, then the government will take up such duties. So we'll be responsible for the major repair maintenance. For daily maintenance like the paint work, etc., then it will be the responsibility of the relevant operator. Who else would like to supplement? What about Ms. May Chen? Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your question. When we put in our application, we did consider the important question of funding. We're going to have free admission so that more people can come here to appreciate the building, which is a public asset. So the Hong Kong News Expo is also an expo for the people of Hong Kong. I mentioned some subsidies from the Hong Kong Jockey Club, $2.5 million for the first few years. As to what will be done by us to raise funds, well, there will be the experiential studios. The gate admission will be free, but then if you come in to use the experiential studio, you have to pay a fee, but it won't be a very expensive one. Probably you will be charged $50 to $100, and then at the end of the day you will get souvenir. There will also be talks, and we have been talking to the associations for school principals for primary schools and secondary schools. They're very interested. It can be counted as other learning experience, but then it is small in size, so we may want to do some outreaching work to tell the students what it is meant by journalism. So that will generate income as well. Albert Chen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I welcome the attendance of the guest speakers. I'm sure the guest speakers represent dedicated organizations. In particular, I would like to welcome Mr. Gordon Siu, who is an old friend of us. I think it's better to see more ex-officials working for the community instead of working for the conglomerates, and then there can be less criticisms about collusion between the business and the government. Now, I believe that all the proponents are really dedicated. For the press, for the Hong Kong News Expo, I'm afraid that Hong Kong has changed. Even policemen can blatantly beat up the citizens, and they can frame up anybody without caring about the consequences. I don't know whether the News Expo will become a propaganda item. Of course, I have faith in Ms. May Chen, but as to the future, I'm not sure. We are talking about valuable historic buildings being revitalized. In the past, we have seen that the so-called public space has been distorted when it comes to the use of the facilities. Now, the yacht club, we were told that they were supposed to allow the public to use. So it's the case for the golf course. And then a lot of conglomerates have been abusing the public space. In fact, they have been turned into private gardens. So for the music farm as well as the Federation of Youth Groups project, I am afraid that it may become something exclusive to the proponents. I think this is a very bad habit of the Chinese. When you have power, you want to abuse the interest involved. Now, how can you be sure that for the Hall garden, which will cost us $100 million to revitalize, will really be a facility for the public, will be open to the public instead of being the exclusive club of certain people only?
Yes, Mr. Wong. Thank you, Chairman. Let me answer Mr. Chen's question concerning these revitalized projects. We attach importance to conservation as well as access by the public. So for these projects, so there will be annual open days, there will be visiting hours, there will be guided tours. And the opening hours are primarily 9 to 7. Then for Saturdays and Sundays, we require the organizations concerned to try to allow visitors to visit the premises. Mr. Seal, please. Yes. Chairman, concerning the Haupa Music Farm, I want to say that all the facilities will be open to the public. Now, the students, of course, and also their parents, and then every week we have guided tours. Our hope is that this classical style mentioned and the architectural style can be enjoyed and appreciated by the public. We guarantee that the public will be given access to this music farm. Mr. Albert Chen, I'm worried that the guided tours will only be available to those privileged ones. So that's my worry, and hope that this is not going to happen, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Regina Yip. I thank all our guests for coming today. I, in principle, support all these projects, but then I've got a few comments. First, I don't think conservation and revitalization should be the responsibility of the Development Bureau. Maybe that's because the Home Affairs Bureau is unwilling to take this up. Revitalization doesn't only mean preserving the buildings. We should educate the public on the culture, the history, and the values behind these projects. Now look at the pawn shop in Wan Chai. It's now a restaurant. but then it's only the premises or the building is preserved, but then the public cannot be educated on the history of the pawn shop. And then I've got other comments. Firstly, it's good that the Hapa Mansion is going to become a music farm promoting Chinese and Western music. I hope that this project can also tell Hong Kong people the history of this family. In fact, they worked very hard in Southeast Asia, and so I think you should also highlight the history of the Ao family, and also the history of Chinese working in different places in Southeast Asia. And also I think you can also tell the public why for the surname Wu, it's not Wu and it's Ao. And then concerning the or rather the Hong Kong News Expo, I hope that you can also tell people about the history of journalism and newspapers back to the Qing dynasty. And so I think revitalization is not merely about preserving the buildings. I think the Home Affairs Bureau should be responsible for that. And then concerning the well to be preserved under the Shatin Central link, I don't think we should just preserve the well. We should also educate the public on the history, on Chinese history, on the exchanges between the East and West, and so on and so forth. Chairman, we have the Advisory Committee on Revitalization of Historic Buildings. Members come from the architectural sector, and there are also historians, representatives from social enterprises, people from the financial sector. And so a multi-dimensional approach is adopted in selecting the applicants. And so we think these projects will succeed. For the pawn shop, yes, the URA was the responsible body. But then for the Song well, that's no use just preserving the well. You have to also educate the public on the history of the Song dynasty. I can understand that the Home Affairs Bureau is reluctant to take up the work, and then the Secretary for Development is more willing to take up the task. This I understand. All right, so we really hope that the revitalization projects can also tell Hong Kong people about the history of Hong Kong and the history of China. I just want to add that Ms. Ao Sian will personally lead some of the guided tours. Ms. Chen Yun-han. Yes, I welcome all our guests. Now for these, for the heritage, I think the history behind the heritage is very important. We visit other places, other cities, other countries in order to appreciate their history. Mrs. Ip referred to the pawn shop in Wan Chai. I know the case very well. And concerning Loi Sang Chun, of course, the project is worth supporting, but then it's the history being emphasized. Now, for Hapa Mansion, I can remember the murals, but of course, at that time we were scared. I really couldn't sleep, because the figures were really too scary. Will they still be there? And then concerning the market, I don't think the external appearance is really very attractive, but then I think it's good that it will be turned into a news expo. And this is an area with a long history, and I hope that in the process of revitalization, stories of the past can be kept. Say if you operate a French restaurant in a historic building, then that will deter ordinary members of the public. So that's my first point. And then second, I hope that the Commissioner can address this point. You said that funding, or rather, the organizations would be responsible for the day-to-day maintenance, but then the administration will provide funding or would be responsible for the structural maintenance. But then I wanted to tell you, Ms. Chan, that you won't have enough money for maintenance. And then Mr. Siu, for the Haupa mention. You know, the administration can be rather bureaucratic, and you may have to you may have a hard time negotiating with the administration as to what is meant by structural maintenance and what is meant by day-to-day maintenance. The situation may be better with the Fanling Magistracy building. So if you really want to make these projects succeed, you really have to iron out this issue first. I am really rather concerned about this. Commissioner. Chairman, the ASD will help our Bureau study the structural plans and deal with repair and maintenance issues. So we have a professional team to identify which areas fall within the definition of structural repairs or maintenance. My office, I myself as well as my colleagues will try to play an effective coordinating role in this regard. Yes, I understand that maintaining historic buildings is very costly. We'll be doing our best. Thank you. Mr. Low Wyckoff. Thank you, Chairman. When I was a primary school student, I often went to Haupa Mansion with my friends. And when we saw the murals, the figures about hell, we were extremely frightened. But then you can see that this is a building with very distinct characteristics. I understand that there will be guided tours and there will be a music farm there. I fully support this idea. But then I've looked at the floor plan. I can see that there are classrooms, storerooms. So it seems that the Haupa Music Farm is going to be a conglomeration of music classrooms, and I can't see a recital hall or a performance venue. And then will there be a resident orchestra giving regular performances? And also, if there are to be performances in the future, then you have to pay particular attention to acoustics. Mr. Gordon Siu is an amateur musician. Maybe he has become a full-time professional musician already. I don't know. And I really thank him for his enthusiastic support for music development in Hong Kong. So who can give an answer? Mr. Siu? I want to say that acoustics is the most important thing. Second, second only to restoration. You know, if the acoustics is poor, then the sound from one room will affect the students learning in the adjacent room, and we also do not want the sound to go out of the area. It is true that we do not have a venue for an orchestra to perform, but then we're going to set up small recital teams for our students, and in fact, as you know, we'll be working with the Hong Kong Chinese Orchestra, and we can join hands with the other orchestras in providing performance opportunities. And we shouldn't be satisfied with our students performing within the music farm to fellow students and to their parents. We want them to reach out to different parts of Hong Kong, to the mainland, and even to different parts of the world. And so we attach great importance to this. Concerning our partners, our Canadian partners, we want to rely on their expertise to complement our teaching. Concerning the estimated operating expenses, it seems that we don't have the information here. Now for the Harper mentioned, the maintenance cost is going to be very high, and I don't think you can get enough money from providing music classes to cover the maintenance cost. So I'm just worried whether you'll be able to remain self-financing or self-sufficient. So the item will go to PWSC later. Ms. Sid Ho, I'm also concerned about the maintenance cost. This may be less of a problem for the Bridges Street Market project, but then for How Pa mentioned, I am worried about the very high maintenance costs. We want to try to conserve the mansion, and at the same time acoustics have to be provided. It is said in the paper that the organizations concerned will have to bear the future maintenance costs, but then the administration can't just wash its hands of these projects, or else one day these organizations may have to charge admission fees. I understand that in overseas some overseas museums or projects, they do not charge admission fees, but then they do put donation boxes at the entrance to try to increase the revenue. So, and then for the How Pa music farm, I'm sure you're going to provide music training for rich as well as poor young people, and you can't charge them a lot of fees.
I think Mr. Gordon Silver will recall that the music office has been providing very good music education. Any child may be enrolled with subsidies for the course fees as well as the musical instruments, but it has been scrapped, and then people have to go to the Academy for Performing Arts, and then you don't have branch offices everywhere, and then it is not as good as before. Now for Hope mentioned, it will be the base. But at the same time, I hope that at various places in Hong Kong, you can set up branch offices so that children from different districts will benefit from music education. Even for the Chinese orchestra itself, it hasn't got much training space. It is taking residence in the Shanghuan Civic Center, but even the musicians have to do their practice on the staircase. So let's hope that they will get their own dedicated space when we have the West Kowloon Cultural District ready. So are they going to charge a fee, and will the government be taking up some responsibility? Let me give a brief reply. For the revitalization project, well, of course, in the application, we have to look at their budget plans as well as their income and expenditure. For Hopper mentioned, yes, I've been told that they're going to charge a course fee, though it won't be pitched at a high level. And then venue hire can also attract an income. Seminars, outreaching courses, sale of books and souvenirs can also generate an income. For the former Fanling Magistracy building, the Hong Kong Federation of Youth has been organizing many training sessions for the youth, and they will charge a fee, and also for the hiring of venues, again, this is subject to a charge as well. Let me move on. Later on, I can give you the floor again. Mr. Yu Si-wing, I agree with what Regina Yip has said. I think this policy area should go back to the Home Affairs Bureau. I'm in support of the 3 projects, but as we know that for Hopper mentioned, it used to be a tourist attraction for both local visitors and overseas visitors. I think once it is commissioned, it will attract a lot of visitors, but then there won't be too many car parking spaces. Yes, it will be served by bus service, but then I'm not too sure whether you're ready to receive so many visitors. Like during weekends and holidays, do you have anybody to manage the traffic outside the mansion? If you don't, then you will be causing a lot of chaos. And then you have only got 2 coach parking spaces. Are you going to find extra space to accommodate the coaches? And then, is it possible for your students to give a performance in the garden during weekends and on holidays? And then, will there be restrictions during the weekends? You do have storage facilities, and you have also got training areas. So will there be any restrictions? And then for the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups, you do have a hostel, but then you have a non-peak season for your youth activities. Are you going to receive other visitors so as to generate some income? If you do, then what is your plan? And then for the Hong Kong News Expo, I think it will be designed for a lot of purposes. First, you have heritage conservation. Second, you have got display areas equipped with the latest technology. Of course, it will be good, but you have a budget of $70 million only. Would it be adequate? Do you have any plans to fall back on? Who will give an answer first? Ms. Chen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members, for your questions. You are worried as to whether we've got sufficient money. So do I. $70 million. And we've got so many ideas about advanced technologies. In the beginning, we had not had too many meetings about the details. Now we find that the facilities and equipment will be very costly. So to be frank, $70 million won't be adequate. We try to see if we can raise any money. But of course, if the government can extend a helping hand, we will be very grateful. I know we have to go through the Finance Committee as well. Ms. Sit Ho also referred to the question of repair maintenance. We are also worried for the Bridges Street market. Behind it, there is a retaining wall. And then, as the Commissioner has said, when we revitalize the building, if we do not encroach upon the retaining wall, then it will be fine. But then if we are less than 1.2 meters from the retaining wall, then we have to take up the responsibility as well. And then there's also a staircase. The staircase will also be our responsibility because we can't find out who or which department should take up that staircase. We're working with the Development Bureau to see if a government department will take it up in the future. Abraham Sheck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may follow up on what the two Mr. Chans have said concerning the income. First of all, for the Hong Kong News Expo, understand that $73 million, Fanling Magistracy, $90 million, and then for the Hopper Mansion, $100 million. I think it will require much more than that. Sometimes the government doesn't do a very proper job in estimating the budget. It will not be carried out by the government itself. Please tell us if the money asked for isn't adequate. Now you are turning over the buildings to the proponents, but I think the budget is too tight. For the RTHK complex, it went up from $4 billion to $7 billion. The labor cost is also going up, so the government can't be so irresponsible. You just offer the building and yet you ask the proponent to take care of the dollar sign. I think for such buildings, the older they get, the more expensive will be the maintenance cost. For the Hopper Mansion, it is an air-conditioned environment. By adding air conditioners, are going to affect the structures of the walls. And then for the bricks, they will decompose. Please look at the case of the former Western market. It has cost us a lot of money. So please take up the responsibility, government. Don't just leave it in the hands of the proponent. They can't take up the responsibility of maintenance. If you want to revitalize the historic building successfully, if you want to inject new life into our historic buildings and reconstruct the history of Hong Kong, you really have to spend money on it. You have to invest in it. And in particular, with the Hong Kong News Expo, I don't think the amount of money given is adequate. I hope the government can justify the figures of $73 million, the figures of $95 million, and the figure of $144 million, respectively. We can't take the words of the government. It's even worse if you have to come back to get supplementary provision. I think you have to make sure that the proponents can really do the job properly and serve the public. Now they're spending money and efforts. I think the government should provide more information to us when the funding request is to go through the PWSC as well as the FC meetings. Yes, please provide more details about the construction works. And would it be adequate? Are you confident? Well, we didn't pluck the figures from thin air. We do have the breakdown figures we have been watching the developments in the construction industry. In the forthcoming PWC meeting, we are going to give you the breakdown figures. Members are still concerned about the maintenance. So please give us more details as well as the figures. Now, I hope the government won't insist that it is in the right. You still have a chance to amend the figures. We are in full support of the projects. You don't need to worry. You just revise the figures. I think the point has been made. Next, Dr. Elizabeth Quat. Is it working? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I welcome the revitalization of our historic buildings in Hong Kong. We don't have a lot of facilities for cultural activities. Now for the historic buildings in this batch, I think many parents would like to take their children there. It will be very educational. But of course, as other colleagues have pointed out, maintenance will be a big problem when we look at the costs involved. I don't think $70 million, $90 million, $144 million will be adequate. Mei Chen has already said that they don't find the figure adequate. So who's going to fill the gap? Please go back and revise the figures so that they become realistic figures. Otherwise, the project can't be completed and you have to come back to get more money. And then for the duty of maintenance in the long term, I don't think it should be left in the hands of the social enterprises. Otherwise, it will become their burden. Now, looking at the projects today, I don't think they're going to generate too much income. If they can make their ends meet, if they can pay their staff members, and if they can engage in some outreaching activities, then it's already a very good job being done. If they still have to take care of and worry about getting money to maintain a wall, etc., then it is distracting their attention and they can't do their core activities well. And then a word about the monitoring. Now you're going to spend a lot of government money, and they are, after all, government buildings. What about the attendance figures? What about the performance indicators? Do you have anything to measure the value for money? Otherwise, a few years down the road, we don't know whether this is a successful case or not, and how is the government going to monitor the performance? We have seen from the press that some youth hostels are always vacant, they are not popular, publicity is bad, and then maintenance is inadequate, etc. Now, for the three cases before us today, one of them is also going to be youth hostel. So can there be some assurance? Mr. Wong. For once every 6 months, we need a sort of financial statement, and then at the end of the year, an audited account would be asked for.
And we in the first 2 years, we will provide a subvention of up to $5 million, and there will be annual estimates for the 3 projects, and we have mid-year reviews. Our colleagues will look at the operation of the social enterprises, the attendance rates, the maintenance and repair situations. And for the midterm reviews and the annual reports, they will be brought before the Advisory Committee on Revitalization of Historic Buildings. And of course, these are factors to be considered for the renewal of the agreements in the future. We shouldn't just look at the attendance figures, Chairman. We also have to consider whether visitors really find the visit enjoyable and meaningful. We have questionnaire surveys for the visitors. And we'll also look at other aspects. For example, how many jobs have been provided, and whether the local community has been involved in the operation of the various projects. Chairman. Now, if these social enterprises fail to be self-financing or self-sufficient, then what is the administration going to do? Can we be given a paper on this? And can we be given a rough estimate of the maintenance cost in the next 5 years? You mean for all three projects? Yes, all three projects. 3 members who have indicated that they would like to ask questions are not in this conference room. Ms. Sit-Ho would like to ask questions a second time. Now, in fact, we should have finished this item at 10. So, can I ask members whether they agree that this item can go to the PWSC? I believe members do not have any objection to this idea. But members are concerned about the restoration costs and also the future maintenance costs. And then for the equipment, for the facilities, members would also want to know who will be financially responsible for the provision of those. Right, Mr. Wu? Can you be brief, because time is really running out. Thank you, Chairman. I hope that the administration can tell us this when it provides further information to the PWSC. Now, for example, for the Western market, I believe you know the maintenance costs. We want to know the maintenance costs for these various buildings, because some of these buildings have very big gross floor areas. So I want to ask the administration to provide us with information about the maintenance costs for comparable historic buildings. And also, Chairman, we are here talking about the third batch of buildings. I want to know about the operating positions of the projects under batch 1 and batch 2. In fact, I have already asked members whether they support the papers going to PWSC, and they have not raised any objection. I understand the members are concerned about the financial sustainability of the projects, the maintenance costs, and so on and so forth. And Mr. Wu Chi-wai has asked for information in relation to comparable historic buildings, because we are now already dealing with the third batch of historic buildings. KK Fong, first round only, and then Ms. Sit-Ho and another member's second round. Now, because I asked whether members had anything to say, but then the 3 members were not in this conference room. So KK Fong, because this is only your first round, so do you have anything to say? Please be concise. I want to say that the administration's track record concerning seeking funding approval is rather bad, and they keep coming back for supplementary provision. So I think you should try to be more accurate in deciding on the amount you need. In fact, our members have already said that the amounts you are applying for are not enough. You don't have the power to increase funding for you. We can only cut the amount that you ask for. And it seems that we are now forcing you to apply for more. And then second, for the Hong Kong News Expo, I think there are two very important points. You can see that, in fact, all political parties in this council support the idea of a Hong Kong News Expo. And I think it's important that for the exhibits, for the content, they must not be politically biased in any way. So when you choose the articles, when you choose the photos, you have to bear in mind this point. So I want to know whether you're going to have a committee to select the materials to be put into the expo. Miss Ho, Miss Ho, please switch on the mic. Sorry, I was voting in another conference room. I just want to seek some further information. Ms. Chan mentioned the staircase. In fact, that's part of the historic building. And I am worried that the staircase may be removed and instead of preserved. So I would like to know whether the organization or the administration will be responsible for that staircase. And I think the staircase links up to Wingley Street is very important and must not be demolished. And then the Fanling Magistracy building. The paper only tells us what will be preserved, but I want to have a list of what will be removed. Look at the old electrical building. I am extremely angry. The two public galleries in the chamber will be removed. I think the two public galleries represent part of the history of the electrical. People protested there. They So I just want you to tell me what you're going to remove in the Fanling Magistracy building. And then thirdly, I'm worried that the administration will or has really merely chosen the so-called highest bids. So when the organizations have won the bids, so to speak, they may not be able to be financially self-sufficient. Now, I have nothing against these organizations, but I'm just worried that these organizations have tried to make the figures impressive so as to win the bids, and then ultimately they won't be able to balance their books. And finally, I want to know what the other bidders were. I understand that you won't tell us the amounts in the other bids because such is confidential information, but I want to know who the other bidders were. Yes, Mr. Yu Si Wing on traffic and transport, and also on the leadership institute, the accommodation arrangements. Yes, perhaps Mr. Wong, I'll give you 2 minutes to answer these questions. Concerning accommodation, the residential block is going to be an ancillary facility for the training institute. And so those living in the residential block have to be making use of our training services or facilities. For example, having hired our venues for a retreat. So this residential block is not just going to be a hostel for young people. And then Mr. Siu? Mr. Siu? Now, because coaches can't stop in front of the building, So people have to come by appointment so that we know beforehand how many people will be coming. And then we will provide special training for our reception staff. So they will they will direct the coaches to the car park opposite Litech Estate, and they will direct the visitors up to the mansion. Yes, I understand that you'll be operating by appointment, but then during public holidays there may be a lot of visitors. They do not come in the form of prearranged groups. And so will you, for example, announce through the media that you already have a full house and you can't accommodate more visitors? All right, I think that's the end for this discussion on this item. Alright, so I have already asked members. They've indicated that they have no objection to the items going to the PWSC. But then when I asked the question, members who had expressed an interest to ask questions were not in the conference room. And so I gave them the opportunity to tell the administration what supplementary information it needed to prepare for the upcoming PWSC meeting. Now, in fact, we should have finished this item at 10. We've overrun by 10 minutes. And as we have the sitting at 11, we really are running out of time. So we'll have to move on. Tung New Tung Extension Study, Stage 3 Public Engagement. So please invite the administration in.
So
may I welcome the administration's team. I will not be reading out the name list. In fact, the panel had a discussion on this issue earlier, and upon Mr. Aberchan's request and with the consent of most members, I have arranged a further discussion today on this matter. This is paper CB1275-01. I'll ask the administration to take members through the paper, and because of time constraint, I'll only give the administration 5 minutes to do the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for arranging for this additional meeting so that we can brief you on the Tung New Tung Extension Study. At the last meeting held on the 28th of October, we got a lot of valuable comments from you. Many members asked questions concerning environmental issues, employment, etc. I'd like to defer to my colleague who will make use of a PowerPoint presentation to give our response to your main questions. Yes? Just a minute, please. Mr. Low, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In relation to questions asked by members last time, we have already given a written reply. So at today's meeting, we would like to highlight certain data. Please bear with us because we would like to show you certain plans. Have you already given us a copy? Yes. I don't want to waste your time to go over the draft recommended outline development plan. I just want to focus on the aircraft noise. You would like to know the relationship between our plan and the noise exposure forecast 25 contour. Well, this is taken out from the EIA report of the Airport Authority. Now you can see that for the recommendation at Chung, it is outside the NEF 25 when the third runway or the three runway system is in place in 2023. So it is to the south, and so the three runway system will not impose an unacceptable noise nuisance on us. And the 3RS has already taken into account the Tung New Town extension. We will also take into account the impact from the three runway system as well as the airport as a whole. As to the case of the Chinese white dolphins, the EIA has already taken into account the data shown on the screen or on the PowerPoint presentation. Some of them are still ongoing. Say, for example, the Tuen Mun Chat Lap Kok Link environmental monitoring and audit. It is still ongoing. Other than doing it with our naked eyes, we are also making use of acoustic surveys and theodolite tracking. The finding is that the usage of coastal waters offshore Tung Chung New Town by Chinese white dolphin is very low. For the railway, both at your last meeting and during the public engagement exercise, there have been many comments about the capacity of the Tung Chung line. Now, on page 11, you get the patronage figures. Many people have been citing the figure of 22,400. It is thought that from Kowloon to Olympic Station, the capacity is 22,400. They are worried that by increasing the population size, then the flow should be tripled. So they wonder whether the Tung Chung line can cope with the growth in the patronage. Now, for the figure 22,400, well, it is the downlink flow. For the section between Tung Chung to Sunny Bay, during the peak hours, it is under 6,000. Page 12. Page 12, as shown on the screen. Currently, the passenger throughput is 5,800 from Tung Chung to Chengyi, and then further up 22,400. Now, the carrying capacity is 37,500. Now, you get the VC ratio, 60%. In other words, currently, the ratio is 60%. Now, we'll have 16,000 passengers more in 2031, and then the passenger throughput will be 33,000. But then with higher frequencies, revising the layout of the compartment, and some other infrastructural enhancements, the carrying capacity will be 66,000. And so if you divide 66,000 by 33,000, then the VC ratio is 50%. And we are using the 6 people people per square meter standard. I would like to extend our meeting time until 10:50. 11 members asked questions last time. Now for the first round, Michael Tian, KK Kwok, Tung UC Wing would like to ask questions. For members asking questions for a second time, Alice Mack, Chan Kem Lam, Albert Chen, Chen Yun Han, Leung Chi Chung, and Chan Kam Pan. We have limited time, so we have less than 30 minutes left. So for the first round, in fact, Emily Lau would also like to ask questions. So if at all possible, for the first round, please confine your Q&A to within 3 minutes. Michael Tian. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For this development, basically I support, but then I'm concerned about the mass transport, in particular the railway service. Now today you have hastily put together some figures. I myself have got some other figures. Let me share with you. They're totally different. First of all, you have the standard of 6 ppsm. It's been abandoned for the past 6 to 12 months. Have you read the news? I think the acceptable standard is 4 ppsm. So please note that. Information I've got is that as of now, for Tung line during the morning peak, the capacity, since it has to be shared with the track, has to be shared with the airport express, so the carrying capacity is at most 30,000. And then for the BCS section, 23,000. You add 10% to it, and then 26,000. After completion of the new town development, for the AM's peak, if the standard is 4 ppsm, the capacity would only be 4,000 left. Now you have got a population size of 140,000. For every 10,000 people, you have 14,000 trips to go to work by means of public transport. I'm sure you're aware of such figures. The railway will take up half of the share. In other words, you should expect 7,000 trips every day. During the morning peak, usually it will account for 15% of the total patronage in the day. For every 10,000 people living there, 1,000 people will have to take the rail service in the morning peak. Now, 140,000 people. So if you put them together, altogether 15,000 people need to take the rail service in the morning peak. But then your spare capacity is 4,000. In other words, 11,000 people can't get onto a train to find a job outside. So unless you are going to provide local job opportunities, you will be living with a time bomb. I now leave some time for you, but I don't think you can really clear your name. And then I just want you to put my figures on record. Please tell me why from the figures that I've got, you have only got a spare capacity of 4,000, and yet you have got another 15,000 more people wanting to take the rail service. How are you going to cope? Please give us an answer. And then if my figures are right, and if you don't expand Tung line with the third runway, and the airport express would like to have more capacity, then how are you going to cope? KK Kwok. The government has spent a lot of time to come back with this reply. I'm hugely disappointed. The government is dodging the issue. We are concerned about the air quality. But then they are talking about the figures for 2009 to 2013. We know that in Tung, it's not just the average figures that are worrying, but then for the maximum figures for RSP, SO2, NO2, and other pollutants, I'm afraid that with the development, the case will only get worse. Now, you haven't told us about the picture after 2016. I think your figures are really misleading. And then Michael Tian gave you a lot of figures. I think it only shows part of the picture. If we are to adhere to the design of the government, there will be even more tourist facilities. Other than the local residents, there will be many tourists making use of the Tung line. Currently, during the peak hours, it is already very crowded. During weekends, Tung residents find it hard to cope, and then the administration would like to promote local tourism, and then with the third runway in place, there will be more people using the airport express. So in terms of transport, it will be hugely inadequate. So I'm not going to accept your answers. I hope the government will make it clear. Please look at the projected visitor figures, and please also look at the patronage, the impact on the patronage. And then for the jobs, of course, with new population growth, there will be a need for more jobs. You put down a figure of 40,000. On the face of it, it is good. But of course, the reality is different. Now, when you look at the case of the Cathay Pacific City, many of the employees go there from the urban area. So I'm afraid if you can't resolve the problem of employment, there will be many more people having to take the Tung line so as to go to work. So other than the 40,000 jobs, there will be even more people wishing to take the Tung line. So you don't even know what sort of jobs will be needed by the Tung residents. You just throw a figure at us, 40,000 jobs. What about the low-skilled manual jobs? You haven't got a single industrial site. Now you talk about Hong Kong, but then are you saying that you want them to be forced to spend a lot of money to take the public transport to go to Hong Kong? I think it is very bad. I think it is a repetition of a very blunted policy. I'm disappointed. Mr. Tung for the issues highlighted by members, I'm familiar with Tung. If we haven't got the third runway system, then Tung residents will be even more affected by airport noise. By having the third runway, then we don't have to use the north line, and then we also want to see the development, like the topside development at the Hong Kong boundary crossing facility of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, the North Commercial District on Airport Island, etc. Otherwise, everybody would just crowd into City Gate. I think we should be even more supportive of the reclamation at Sunday Bay so that there will be industrial development. We need to take everything into account instead of singling them out and try to say that there are problems. In terms of transport, I've got two questions here. First of all, the Chiang Mai Bridge charges a very expensive toll. Residents and also the small businessmen in Tung Chung and Lantau are complaining. Even the medium-scale logistics enterprises are complaining. And then for the Tuen Mun Chat Lap Kok link, it is going to be a towed road. Have you ever considered that by imposing such an expensive toll, you are making it less attractive, and even jobs will be lost? Have you conducted a study on this matter? And then for the Transport and Housing Bureau, we are told that for the Tung Chung West extension, it will be built, but is it going to be taken on its own, or it has to become part and parcel of this particular development? For the 3RS, as you can tell from the noise contour lines, if it is going to be moved northwest, in other words, there will be an improvement in the environmental issues. Tourists have their needs, and then in terms of our assessment, in terms of land use, in terms of transport needs, this has been factored in. As Mr. Tian has pointed out, as seen from the PowerPoint presentation, we have already taken into account the known developments. Please answer my question. What about the road and bridge toll levels? Yes, your point has been looked at. There's been referred to the THB for them to follow up. Next, Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. Chairman, it's no wondering that the information given by administration to the LegCo is getting worse and worse. Probably they have become less motivated. That's why Hong Kong is getting worse and worse. I just hope that the officials would be more dedicated to their job. For job opportunities, they just put some figures in without any justification. Now, for the airport and for the hospital, there are many vacancies not taken up by job seekers. Why is it so? And for the job opportunities there, how are you going to match the opportunities with the job seekers? There are also people seeking jobs among the Tung residents. So you are not telling us how you're going to resolve the problem. I think the paper has been hastily put together. It is very regrettable. Who is going to give an answer? Yes, Mr. Chung. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For employment, well, other than providing housing, we are also going to diversify job opportunities. There will be retail facilities and there will be office space, and that would bring about job opportunities. And then for the 3RS at the airport, with expansion, it means that more jobs will be available, not just for professionals, but also low-skilled workers. But I want to know whether there are vacancies. Why is it so? Now, many citizens have told me that no one is interested in taking up the jobs, and so there are vacancies and service cannot be provided. Are you aware of it? You just hurl some figures at us, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. What are they? Don't try to regard us as fools. You present requests to us. We don't approve them, and then you will object. But then you have to be accountable. Are you aware of the employment problems in Tung, or if you just turn a blind eye to it? If we just take your words, then I'm afraid that at the end of the day, both of us will be criticized. So, mismatch. And also the floor space is not the same as job opportunities. And what about the timing? And would that be compatible with the needs of the residents? Chair, I don't think they have even put some thought to it. Let me answer Ms. Lau's question. For the matching of jobs in Tung Chung, we hope that for the Tung Chung New Town development, there should be more training facilities. There should be a training institute so as to train up the Tung Chung residents so that they can be trained for the airport jobs, logistics industries, etc. Well, for the question asked by Ms. Lau, please give more details. There are things that are known to you but not to us, or things that we want to know and yet you don't want us to know. Now, today our available time is limited, so perhaps in this regard, I hope the government can supplement the information afterwards. Chair, you know what questions we've got. Please do some compilation work with the clerk so that they know what questions to answer. All right. For the second round of questions, Alice Mack, Albert Chen, Chen Yun Han, Nang Ji Chen, Yu Si Wing, Chen Han Peng, Michael Tian would like to ask questions. There are 7 of you. 7 multiplied by 2, so that's about it. So 2 minutes each. I'm sorry about that, and that would take us to 10:50. Mr. Chairman, as to whether we can create so many jobs in Tung and whether the airport and the hospital can attract enough people to apply for jobs. I think it's a matter of transport. As Mr. Tung said, FTU members, and especially when I first joined the electrical in 2012, I already sponsored a motion debate to fight for the scrapping of the Chiang Mai Bridge toll. So for Tung residents, maybe we should just scrap the toll on the bridges and roads so that people find it easy to go out to work and others cheaper to come to Tung to work. Now, for Tung, you need to find space for logistics industry and office space. But then for the logistics industry, they are telling us that if every day they have to pay extra for the tolled bridge and the tolled road, it's not just $30 for private cars. For goods vehicles, the tolls imposed on them are even more expensive. They are not convinced that they should pay extra to come to Lantau. So if you scrap the toll, then I'm sure it will help to create more jobs in Tung. For Tung residents, I think even if they have to cross districts to work without the tolls, then it would also be of help. And then for Lantau Hospital, it's not that the no skilled workers don't want to work at Lantau Hospital. It's all because medical doctors don't see a career path and they're not interested to come to Tung to work. So transport is key to the problem. This may not be the responsibility of the development panel, but then you have to work together with the Transport and Housing Bureau. Albert Chen, I don't think I have enough time. Please give me the information afterwards. First of all, the noise. You talk about the NEF 25, but then this is inadequate because it's built on the assumption that the 3RS will be in place. Without the 3RS, then I'm afraid the noise problem will get worse. Now, other than the NEF 25, you need to give us the NEF 20 contour. In Chun Wan, Sha Tin, Cheng Yi, many residents are suffering when they live within the NEF 19, and at night the noise level is 80 decibels or more. So if you just give us the NEF 25 contour, it is misleading. Please tell us how many flights are there at night exceeding the noise level of 80 decibels, and giving us the average figure is misleading. You need to tell us about the truth. In 5 years' time, without the 3RS, what's the scenario? And what if we have the 3RS? And then air quality. You must tell us the following. By having so many more people, what about the air pollution impact? Between 12 and 2, what about the RSP, SO2 levels? Please tell us. This is because Tung is the worst place in terms of air pollution. It's like a death trap. If you don't give us the figures, then I don't know how many people will go there and die. For those suffering from respiratory diseases like the elderly, the young, the pregnant ladies, they are suffering. Their physical health is being harmed. The government is hiding the information. Please give us the information in writing. Yes, please give us the information in writing. Chen Yunhan. Well, we have been dwelling on the questions for a long time, but I agree that there should be a meeting to cope with them. I welcome the Tung West extension. We should keep the rural characteristics so that the population will be cut from 40 to 20,000. But then Tung will still have a large population. So what about the transport capacity? As Michael Tian has said, his figures are very different from those of the administration. We've got so much time. Even if I try to speak fast. I can't really finish all the issues. Now, if you want to revitalize a place, transport is important for both trips to and from. It is also important for the businessman. Now, you may be saying that transport is not your responsibility. You are only interested in development, but please don't think so. You need to have the right policies in place. If you are going to have a bazaar, say for example, you must have sufficient parking spaces, because I can tell from my experience, for Tung, you want to increase the population, you want to have more jobs, you want to develop the economy, then you have to get other factors in place as well. Otherwise, to be frank, you cannot convince us and we can't convince you. And what will happen? And then what about the tolls on the bridges and roads? You want to develop the economy. It seems that it is just a just wishful thinking on your part. And then for the noise nuisance, you need to be honest with us. Just now, members have asked many questions and they have asked for information. I hope the administration will give this supplementary information to us. And then for the public engagement exercise, the third one, it was ended on the 31st of October. We're going to revisit this topic. I'll try to find a time available to both of us. Maybe we can do so when the findings from the third PE is available. Chang. Last time I talked about employment and transport. It is expected that 40,000 more new jobs will be available, but then they will be very restrictive, mostly in the service industries only. Now, are you going to try to see if we can have something more in the creative industries? If you just want retail, if you just provide retail jobs and catering jobs, then you just can't find people to fill the vacancies. Tommy Chung has told you that you have to increase the wages and still you can't cope with it. So 40,000 jobs, I don't quite think that you can succeed. And next, the transport issue. For the airport rail, for the service, it is very expensive and still it is too crowded for you to get on a train. This is unacceptable. So you have to make sure that the fares can come down and then the service can be improved. Otherwise, no one would want to go to Tung. With Hong Shui queuing plant, maybe a citizen will be more attracted to Hong Shui queue. You can't just think about Tung. Now, the Development Bureau is working on Hong Shui queue, Yuen Long South, Kam Tin South, together with Tung. All of them will have a population of hundreds of thousands of people. Then please think which one will be attractive to a citizen. Transport fares will be a very critical consideration. UC Wing. For hotel rooms, there will be 1,000 more according to the plan. So for Tung and Lantau, we have got the completion of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge, the World Expo. The Asia World Expo will be expanded, so there will be more needs for transport. And for the 3RS, again, there will be more transit passengers staying overnight in Tung. 1,000 more hotel rooms won't be adequate. 6 conglomerates have been very active in bidding for the land, so probably they are very optimistic about the prospect. So for tourists staying overnight, how many of them do you expect? 1,000 hotel rooms. Would it be too conservative? I think you need to rethink the land use pattern. Well, for the availability of hotel rooms, for the Advisory Committee on Land Development, we did try to consider the commercial facilities and development on North Lantau. We want to look at the North Commercial District, topside development of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, as well as the Sunday Bay Reclamation. We will try to see how we should distribute the different land uses and where we can increase the facilities for the visitors. Well, I did sponsor a motion debate, and that's about the Tung development. I talked about the toll charges for the tunnel and the bridge, the Chung Bridge. I had the support of the majority of members. That is, we should scrap the toll. That's because Tung residents are spending too much money on transport fares, and then the railway service will soon have the capacity exhausted. So it is a fact, and I hope that the administration would consider exempting the Chung Bridge and the tunnel from the toll charges. I understand that job opportunities are creating a mismatch, so I really hope that there will be more facilities to be developed, and community facilities are also inadequate, but still it cannot resolve the problem of job mismatch. So our recommendation is that if somebody has a job in the urban area, if you offer a flat to this person in Tung Chung, he would find it difficult to accept it or not. Now, if somebody has got a job in Tung Chung, then try to give this person a priority when it comes to allocation of public rental flats. In this way, we can ease the burden on the transport network. So when you have your public housing programs, please consider it as well. I've extended the meeting time to 10:50. It's almost time. If you don't object, of course, Michael Tian, Tung Ka-Piu would like to ask questions for the second time. Chen Yun-Han would also like to speak. If you don't object, I will give 2 minutes to each of them, and after that, we would bring the discussion to an end. So if you don't object, we'll just continue. Michael Tian. Mr. Chairman, if I may go back to the earlier table. Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, 37,500. There's an inaccurate figure because no one is accepting 6 ppsm. The figure should be revised to 30,000. And then 22,400 being the passenger throughput. It will easily be increased by 10% up to 25,000. So the capacity left is 5,000. You can't resolve the problem for the 150,000 people. With the extension of the Tung Chung New Town, you said that you have a carrying capacity being boosted to 66,000. Are you constructing a new rail line? I haven't heard about that.
Yes. Are you kidding? Increasing the frequency? No, because at the moment, the frequency, or rather, the capacity can only be increased by 10%, and that will be the third runway. According to what you say, there is no need for us to construct new railways. Do you think the increase in frequency can bring the figure up to 66,000? Did the Transport and Housing Bureau give you the figure? The figure has come from the MTRCL. But according to the MTRCL, for this line, they are not able to increase the frequency further. But then there will be overrun tunnel at the Hong Kong station. Yes, I know, 10%. 33,000 up 10%, not up 100%. Next, Mr. Tan Ka-Piu. Yes, Chairman, thank you. I hope that you will deal with a very important issue. I'm glad that there will not be reclamation in Tung Chung West, but still, for two flat sites near Yat Tung Estate, at the moment there are 5 charitable organizations operating there. One has hired government land for 6 decades. So please make sure that these organizations can still provide community and social services to Tung Chung West, because we have to take into account the interests of the residents of Yat Tung Estate and the estates to be constructed and completed there. Mr. Ma. Yes, Chairman, we will work out these arrangements. I note Mr. Tang's concerns, and I will take this into account when we draw up the plans. And I want to take this opportunity to say something about the studies, including the technical studies. I want to say that we are now in an advanced stage as far as the studies are concerned, and we can share the technical reports and feasibility reports of members, and also environmental impact reports, transport planning reports, and so we can share the information with members later. If members have specific comments or suggestions on a particular topic, we're willing to follow up on those suggestions. Ms. Chen Yun Han. Chairman, I want to say that in fact, I have been very concerned about the use of land. In fact, as things still haven't been finalized, there is still scope for change. I appreciate the administration's position concerning Tung Chung West. I think next time the administration must give us very clear information. Now, for example, Mr. Michael Tian is telling us one story, they are telling us another story. So who is right and who is wrong? And we shouldn't just look at whether there is a toll to be charged for the use of the tunnel. I think what is important is revitalization.
呢個議題呢，我係討論到此為止。
Right, so I think that's all. For this item, if there are no AOB items, the meeting is adjourned. So I thank the members and the officials for coming. Thank you.